right, everybody, welcome back to Put Up or Shut Up. This is episode number 10, post-Cologne, and we've got a lot of stuff to go over, but let's introduce you to our guest this week. Nothing strange here to see in Thorin and DeBears, but you will note a very respectable, reputable Moses O'Toole there at the bottom. Welcome, Jason.
Hey, man, how's it going? Long time no see.
I feel it's been ages, right?
It has been ages. Has been about 4 days. Listen, I'm just excited to be here. I'm excited to get this started. Excited to get all the shit talking underway. I'm excited to hear Duncan's new theory about Santa Claus and mushrooms. Let's go.
Well, that's certainly a thing. Let's start off with the first question. We've got the MVP of ESL Cologne, and I'm going to kick it over to you, Moses.
Yeah, I'm taking Fallen, the guy who actually has already won the MVP. So this one's actually quite easy for me to win. But I mean, the big thing with Fallen at this tournament was, you could just see the guy's just a winner. He does everything. He can play every facet of the game. He can be aggressive. He can be passive. And in situations where all seems lost, he's still fighting his way out of them. You think on Train in the finals against Cloud9, the round he's in, like, he has to save the AWP at the end of the round, and he kills 3 players with incredible shots, and that op then gets 3 kills in the next round, which is the deciding factor of the game. You think the way he stops retakes, I mean, if you look, he gets aggressive and in positions no one else would. And for my money, there's not a single other opper I would put in some of those situations. Kenny S is probably the best opper in the world at the moment, and I'd probably still take Fallen in most situations over Kenny S to be able to pull things off, to be able to make some kind of a play that's going to allow your team to win. Because it's not always the craziest play, but every single play he makes has that goal set of winning the round, and that's just what he does. He wins rounds. He's patient when he needs to be, and the guy's just absolutely incredible. And those are just things that he can do individually. When you factor in all the others, when you factor in his leadership, his ability to influence the team, the direction that he provides this team, then it's just a clear-cut case. There's no one else that does all of the things that Fallen does as a package in the game.
Wow. That was seemingly all in one breath. I'm thoroughly impressed personally. Duncan, let's hear what you got.
Okay, I went with coldzera. I mean, pretty much undisputed as the best player on this team. Was incredibly consistent throughout all the playoff rounds. Is the guy who cleans up. He's the clutch player. He's the closer. The Mariano Rivera, as it were. Yeah, I know baseball as well, motherfucker. And he just did a fantastic job. He was very all-round. I think this wasn't like... He's so good that this doesn't even have to be the best performance for him, and it was still better than I think anyone else. You look top to bottom all around what he did, pretty much every phase of the tournament.
All right, and Eric.
Stewie 2K. I just want to say that really loud because I felt like he was the most valuable player, at least on Cloud9. Yes, you have SK. They're all MVPs, okay? It's Fall and coldzera Fur. They're all great. But you know what? Stewie 2K, he leads the team. He's literally, if he's not on Cloud9, that team's going to fall apart, and they would not have gotten where they have gotten right now as that second place. Hopefully they do well with the Major. That's the thing I want to see. I want to see how he adjusts as a player, how he matures. But Stewie, I think he's hungry. He wants to win, and he's just active about it. And that's what I love about him. He pumped up the team, and I think he is definitely one of the driving forces for C9.
Well, there you have it. 4.5 minutes on the clock, and you know what? It's all you guys.
Okay, I just want to say, I know, Jason. I just want
Go ahead.
Time's going by.
Stop speaking. Hey, one thing that I loved about Stewie 2K is that he was entry killing. God damn it, Jason. He was entry killing. He's calling strats. I mean, he's almost like a mini Pollen, but at least Pollen, he's more in the back a little bit. But Stewie 2K against, especially against Navi, he's getting all the entry kills. He's fragging hard, and I really like that. I mean,
you just called him a mini Fallen, which implies that he does all the things that Fallen does, just not as good as Fallen. So I mean, right off the bat,
he's building. He's building up to it.
But maybe he'll be an MVP a year from now. That's not the conversation we're having. At ESL Cologne, Fallen takes home the trophy. Fallen kicks the shit out of Stewie 2K 3-0, just fucking brushes him aside off the stage and picks up that trophy. I think coldzera is having really, really good form, obviously, right now. And yeah, Duncan's probably right. I think probably consensusly at the moment he's still the best player in the world. But the fact of the matter is, at this tournament itself, he was outshone by his opponents. I think even Fur had a better tournament than him in terms of their impact. But Fallen's in all those same situations. Fallen's closing as well. Fallen's getting the impact kills in the middle of the round that allowed coldzera to even do anything fantastic at the end of the round. That AWP, that weapon as the AWP, probably has the most impact in Fallen's hands as any rifle in some of those players' hands.
So, okay, first of all, both of them kept stressing as part of their key element of their argument the leadership qualities of those players. Now, leadership has nothing to do with valuableness as a player. Like, that's actually that's intangibles that are not inside the server. You cannot lead someone from inside the server. You have to do it as a person, interpersonally. So that's almost like saying, and he's a really great guy as well, and he gives great hugs and high fives. Like, that is irrelevant if you are the best player. Secondly, if Fallen did it all the time and he was a closer, then how come it was basically 3 maps of the entire tournament, 2 in the Swiss system, where he farmed up all those kills? Even in the final, I think he actually went negative in the kill differential for the final. That's after having plus 18 on 1 map. So every single playoff series, Fallen went negative in the KD differential. Yet you're saying he closed out, he got most of those kills. He didn't. But I mean, literally, mathematically, I can prove with a calculator and an Etch-a-Sketch that actually coldzera got a lot more kills. You know, there's no real way to debate around that. It's just a fact. Now, coldzera, every playoff series, massive numbers. He gets better as the games get bigger. Now, Fallen's a good player, but you know what? Fallen probably have lost to an NA team. Yes, God damn it, an NA team. I said it. If it hadn't been for coldzera and his fantastic play. Finally, De Beers, Stewie 2K got his head caved in the actual one real match he played in this tournament. The rest of it, he went through an easy bracket versus a bunch of retired people waiting to join Freiburg on the desk, and Navi, who are literally like the Soviet Union in 1988 or whatever, waiting to collapse next year.
Listen, Duncan, I mean, first of all, don't make up fake news over there as if I am saying that the leadership qualities of Fallen qualify him for this. It's just a nice little bonus. It's the cherry on top. And just right off the bat, I'll give you some real news. Fallen actually did go positive in all of the grand final matchups. Well, he was -2 in one of them, but he was plus 18 on Train. He was plus 4 on Cobble. So he was overall very, very positive in that series. And it's, once again, this is the thing that you fail to understand sometimes with your analysis, Duncan, is that stats aren't everything. And if you look at the plays Fallen is making, if you look at the impact he has round to round and how he affects the game moving forward, he has a massive impact. And it doesn't even matter the kills he puts up. It's the quality of those kinds of kills that he's putting up. They're actually incredible rounds that he's winning for his team. A triple kill to prevent a retake, saving the AWP so he can win the round in the win the entire series, win the trophy in the next round. I mean, the guy is just a masterclass of what he does to just flat out win the games.
I mean,
Get in there, Eric. Get in there.
You're so good. Okay, Stewie. I mean, you could say, okay, team game. Okay, SK, Fallen, coldzera. They have a system. You guys pick people that are working together here. All right, they're good. All right, SK is a great team. But
I mean, not if you listen to Jason. It sounds like Fallen did it all on his own. That coldzera guy is basically a scrub riding his coattails, right?
There it is. There it is.
I mean, it sounds
it's weird
like
how he always doesn't get those kills. What's that all about?
But I mean, if you do take Fallen off SK, they will be a lot worse team. But they still have the talent to be up there, be top 5, be top 10. He take out Stewie 2K. God, I gotta change his name. The team's nothing. They fall behind.
Well.
They're probably 3rd or 4th. You know what? It's okay. All right, there.
Yeah. Oh, no change for you.
Drop the mic, Eric. Yeah. Drop the mic.
I'm dropping everything. Right? I'm throwing phones across the screen.
Well, yeah, that was pretty heated, and I don't know if there's just a little bit of lag on my end that made you guys speak more faster than you were meaning to. But I'm gonna have to go. I think undoubtedly for the man bringing the heat today, and that's gonna be Jason O'Toole. I am thoroughly impressed by your opening argument right from the opening statement you had sold me. So it's kind of just how it works, I suppose. Let's move on.
What I do, Trace.
We've got the big, yeah. Well, I mean, apparently Reddit seems to think so, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep holding his pocket.
You don't want to take advice from Reddit. Reddit's turning into fake news right now. Reddit is turning into fake news.
Listen, relax.
Repost after repost after repost. Don't you guys have any shame?
Listen,
Sorry.
We're gonna move along. We're moving along.
Okay.
Biggest surprise of ESL Cologne, and we're going to start with De Beers.
I picked Team Optic because even though they didn't do as well as maybe some should think, but as the shit show that they were playing in their last tournament with all the roster changes, leadership changes, coaching changes, I thought they did a lot better than most people expected, especially making the playoffs. And this just moving on is just impressive in its own.
All right, let's go on. To,
well, I'm saving for the argument here.
Huh? You're saving it for the argument? Okay.
No, I said saving for the argument. Let's go.
Saving the gold.
Save it.
I know he's got to keep the gold in the chamber.
Who you want next, Trace? You want?
Okay, I picked Cloud9 because, I mean, the idea that Cloud9 could ever get to the final of a big tournament, I mean, I don't even think that happened now. I think that might actually be fake news, and I actually saw it. I think that might be a government psyop that never actually happened, and MK Ultra, and they were actually, I've got tinfoil on my head every day so that the government can't beam those lies into my brain again. So, obviously, that didn't happen, and if you say it did happen, that's incredibly surprising.
Wow. Bring it that far. Go ahead, Jason, please.
Saving it for the argument.
I didn't go with the team, actually. I just went with Guardian. You know, an Opera's been, you know, a little bit of a slump recently and been a little bit quiet. Even when he has good games, it's not the same flair that we've seen him with in the past. Some of those crazy flick shots, his ability to have success in tough situations. And I thought this was a great return to form from Guardian that, you know, just shows you that he can still compete with the best. And you just hope that it's going to last from tournament to tournament. You hope it's not a one-off event. Saving it for the argument.
Well, you guys know the drill. 4.5 minutes. And all this saved argument nonsense. Let's just hear it. Go ahead, 4.5 minutes.
Okay, so first of all, we actually have already seen big performances like this from Guardian even this year. At Star Series, he had fantastic numbers, did very well. They got to the semi-finals, played Astralis there. This isn't like you never expect Guardian to have a good tournament. It happens from time to time, and he used to be one of the best players of all time. So is it that crazy that he could beat out some okay teams and make the semi-finals? Yeah, I don't know about that. In terms of the bettors pick, Optic, they didn't really do much aside from just sneak out of Swiss system. So I don't really know how crazy a surprise that is. They got their heads caved in as expected in the round of 8. That's exactly what you would expect, really. So the surprise was only really the first half. The second half was just disappointment, kind of like your life, Eric.
Well, if you thought, wow, that's pretty harsh right there. But you know what? I'm working
for the points.
Okay? I'm working on that.
For the points.
But you know what? But you know, you say C9 is a surprise, but I said that they're the best team in NA right now from last week and from before. They had months to work with this roster. They've had their ups and downs, and right now they're back on their ups. Optic, though, it's people lost hope in them. Okay, they with the leadership of Jason Art, Train Jane, with Tarek coming on as IGL for his first tournament. I mean, you say that they barely made it, but they beat teams like Team Space Soldiers and Team North, which you always say North, they should be doing good. They are a great team, but they never perform. But you know what? Optic beat them, and they didn't barely lose to SK, but they at least took one map off SK, which C9 couldn't do.
I mean, I don't think the Optic run is too much of a surprise, especially when you consider that team's like fucking already dead. Like that team is just like, you can see in some of their gameplay, like they just seem like they're not gonna stick this together. They haven't even had a roster for a full year yet. So the fact that they go into a tournament and they play like there's nothing to lose, and they stop actually trying to play the game of the strategies they've been developing for months, and they just let loose and have, I mean, it's obvious they have the individual skill. That's never left them. It's just the, you know, it's not really that much of a surprise that you can do that when it's like basically your last tournament together. It almost feels like.
I mean,
Cloud9.
Does.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'll let you finish, Jason. Go
All right.
ahead, finish.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Eric. Cloud9. Not. This is like, we've seen them get to a final. We saw it in October. It's been quite some time, but yeah, Eric's right in a way where if you look at the buildup that they've
just
had,
the 10 months, then.
If the buildup that they've had in the past months and the way that they've been actually practicing.
You mean Cloud9 haven't made a final in 10 months? Whoa, that's pretty surprising that they made one now. Thanks for making that point, bro.
Okay.
High five.
You focusing now? You're going to weekly focus on the conversation at hand?
I've got 5 up in the air, unlike Cloud9, man.
Great. No, but this is a team that that you've seen they've actually been practicing the right way. They've actually been changing some of their styles and tactics. They have been. They've been changing from a faster pace to a slower pace. They've been getting much, much better at the slower tactics and everything like that. And I think it's, again, obvious that Skadoodle's been slowly getting back up. He's hitting a nice peak right now. The finals is a little bit unexpected, but still, you know that the ability there, you know that the skill is there. With someone like Guardian, it's not the numbers that he's putting up. It's the style. It's like the flair to his shots. It's the impact that he's having in the mid rounds. That's the Guardian we know and love. The Guardian pulling off impossible situations. The Guardian that's able to lead this team. I mean, this is a guy who has been a focal point for this team and this core roster for so long, and we've seen him shift away from that. For him to come back and be a focal point and also be successful in it, that was very surprising to me, because this team just seems to have been shifting away from that, relying on Simple to make some plays, relying on C's to have some in-game leading, Andy to change up how they play the CT sides, how aggressive their CT sides are, and for Guardian to all of a sudden come back and be the focal point and just straight bodying people all event, that's very shocking.
So
Shroud was in the final of a huge tournament.
I've been saying forever, Shroud's a really good player. I've been saying forever.
Shroud playing his normal, what he's supposed to be.
Shroud didn't even know if he'd be in tournaments right now. He thought he would be retired. He was like Danny Glover 2 months ago.
The Guardian's playing CS after getting married.
He just had sex for the first time. Obviously, he's confident. He's at the top of his game. Didn't that loosen you up a little bit, motherfucker? Doesn't that make you think there's more important things in life?
Listen, we've been talking over each other. So Optic, you know what? You guys just said it's a shit show. They haven't had a roster change, so it's more surprising for them, a team that's a shit show, making past a tournament with top 10 teams of the world.
Yes, and a shit show
with a new
in-game leader.
New in-game leader. Just off the bat, like, yeah, I'll call. I'm Tark. I
invoke the greater shit show clause. AKA the Cloud9 to the finals clause.
I'm actually speechless with some of your remarks that you are obviously all saving. It's like you're saving strats, right? Except for just straight jabs. Assume the Guardian just had sex for the first time. We can't do that.
I think you should take a point away for that kind of a comment as well.
Harmless banter.
Got him. Just mind blowing. But I'm gonna throw the point over to, and wait for it.
Oh God!
Here we go. Here we go. Come on.
I can see that face. It's the
there
face
always
of
has to be this
depression.
fanfare when he gets a point, isn't it? Come on. It's like when they let that kid who's the manager, who's a little bit in the head, and then they let him do a 3-pointer at the end of the game when the championship's already won for the state championship.
Has been good for a while.
Yeah,
okay?
come on, well,
Same
stop
roster.
dusting off those fucking chalkboard dusters and shoot the 3, mate.
Let's bring it back down to earth.
Reel it in.
Okay, I'm gonna throw it over to Eric. Eric's gonna get the point.
There we go.
Earned it. Say earned it. Don't say throw it. Say I earned it.
We win as a team. We lose as a team.
The point. He really did come in with his homework prepared today, which I'm impressed. So congratulations, Eric. You're on the board before Duncan. It's a rarity around these. But let's move forward. Who is the dark horse of the PGL Major? And we're gonna start with you, Duncan.
I'm going to say Navi, Natus Vincer, because they're a team where they haven't come close to any deep finishes against real level teams. Every time they get into the round of 8, they get stopped. But you've seen already, if the bracket opens up right, if Guardian really hits good form, things are still possible here. There's certainly a dark horse. You wouldn't anticipate it's going to happen, but I feel like they've got the skill set, they've got the tools to potentially be able to do it. They've also got actually a half decent map pool if you look at the top teams they might match up against.
All right, let's move on to Jason.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna take Vega Squadron. I think this is a team that has a really sneaky good amount of skill within that roster, a lot of dynamic skill, a lot of playmaking skill, which allows them to get themselves out of situations where maybe they're not as tactically adept, maybe their map pool isn't as deep, but this is a team that I think is going to catch teams off guard just because they're probably going to be regarded as a squad that can't really do much. And I think they're going to get a little bit overlooked when you get to that Swiss system, especially when you go forward into the day. So if they get some favorable draws, I think a team like North is going to be very susceptible to them. A team that's underperforming, a team like G2 can be susceptible in the right situation. So I think the talent that's in this squad can actually catch some people off guard with how good and how much impact those players can have.
Well, that only leaves one more person. That's you, Eric. What you got?
Team Big. I think God B has really just turned it around in terms of just coming to Europe and getting a whole lot better, because last EPL, they were like 5 or 6, or 2 EPLs ago, they were like 5 or 6 as NRG, and I thought they're a little overrated or whatever, but after watching more of them and seeing their results, I think Gabi has a pretty good system. I think they'll do well in the Swiss format. They might have a little trouble here and there, but I think that they can make some upsets and make a little run.
Okay, well, 4.5 minutes. Let's hear your guys' bullshit just one more time.
Okay, so the definition of dark horse, a candidate or competitor about whom little is known, but who unexpectedly wins. So unrealistic to suggest that Vegas Squadron's going to win here. Obviously, Big is not going to win. Big was a team that was struggling to beat games against tier 2 teams. They very, very rarely get any kind of a win even over tier 1, and even then it's very close. So you put them in an even higher level of competition, very unlikely that they're going to go far. Maybe at best they can make out the Swiss system, but that's not really big success. That's not really a dark horse run. That's just creeping out of the first round, you know. That's like something that the Knicks would feel good about, and no one wants to be like the Knicks. They're not successful. Now, Jason's pick. Oh, okay. You want to come back to your big boy?
Yeah, I'll come back for that, Lewan. Let me just pull out the stats list, because since you love stats so much, let me see all the teams that Big has beaten in the last, let's say, couple months.
This should take about 5 seconds.
They beat Team Liquid. They beat Immortals.
Holy moly!
They beat
Is that real?
Penta.
Wow.
Envia taking a toss. You say that these guys can't beat good teams. They beat North Academy.
None of those are good teams. None of those are good teams.
Okay, no, some of these are pretty good teams, and they're on their way.
Listen, Duncan, if you're going to bust out the dictionary as your opening sentence to your statement, you already know you're fucking reaching at that point, don't you? Not to mention, the rules in the email said dark horse to make a run, not to win the whole thing. So, by definition, you've actually just violated the rules of the question.
So where are they running? Where are they running?
This is a team that can make a run, get out of the groups, and they can actually make it into a decent quarterfinal matchup that they have a chance of upsetting, depending on the draw, depending on who they go up against.
So they can make it out of groups, and that's a run. I realize, like, even in the history of your country, making a run, like when you guys ran from Vietnam and made it all the way home, you have to make it all the way home,
pretty
Jason,
impressive
for it to be a run. It's got to be a big-time run. It can't just be getting out the border. You've got to make it all the way home.
You're just ignoring that I said that they can win a quarterfinal match if they get the right draw. It's all going to be matchup dependent.
Name one team they could win a quarterfinal matchup draw against.
North.
Who said North's getting there?
Well, Jesus fucking Christ, Duncan, now you're just trying to predict the future, aren't you?
So now you're just guaranteeing North gets out and then gets drawn against them. So that means North would have to come either top or bottom of the Swiss system to be able to draw them. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, if
what kind of a terrible argument
then
is that?
you need North to be one of the best teams in the Swiss system. I say it won't happen.
No, they can take off teams like North. They can take on teams like I think actually the only teams that they cannot compete with in terms of a BO3, I think would be the top 3 to 4 teams. I think every other team they would have some kind of a fighting chance and do it if they have a good game, if they peak. Yes, they are going to be massive underdogs. But the fact is they have Mir, who's one of the craziest players at the moment. Like his as a player, he's going to surprise a lot of people at this event. I think JR was a very, very impactful AWPer, and when you have an AWPer like him that likes to get aggressive, that can make plays inside bomb sites, you're always going to be a dangerous team. The big thing they have to worry about is their map pool, but if they draw the right opponents, they can make a run into the quarterfinals and possibly even upset and take a challenge there.
I'm thinking.
By the way, really quick, Big, they're relying on Gabi fragging his balls off right now. I don't know if that's gonna last.
He did pretty well in a couple matches, but it's really Tabson. If you look at Tabson, he's been playing really, really well. Yes, you know, you're relying on heavy skill, but they have a system to where it's a methodical kind of play style, which can go a long way. There's a lot of, I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit of SK, where you know they kind of set up plays for each other. They take it easy, and I just like it. I just like.
They only have 2 playmakers. Tabson has 1 game off, and they just flat out lose. They're just gone. They're out.
Yeah, the only teams that Vega was able to beat at the offline qualifier were Optic, a joke, Taihu, and Dignitas, absolute shit.
Yeah, hence being a dark horse. Duncan, you picked the former #1 best AWPer, probably a top 3 AWPer in the world at the moment, a top 3 best player in the world in Simple, Edward, who's been a god at this game for the past 15 years, and you picked this squad as your dark horse. That is like a Bordoff level dark horse.
I did pick a team with very good players, but who haven't had massive results in the last 6 months.
That's not even a dark horse.
To go deep in the tournament.
That is not even a dark horse.
Very intelligently.
He's got 3rd place last tournament.
A lot of really good,
pretty good results. He got 3rd place last tournament. $250,000.
It's not a major. Not a major. Not a major.
Well, is this a major question?
Say it again.
I don't know.
Say it again.
It's for the major, yeah.
Who is the dark horse of the PGL Major? And you don't know that it's a major question. I'm done. I'm leaving.
No. I'm talking about not major questions. I meant like. Never mind.
He's saying they just
Never
got
mind.
top 4 at ESL Cologne.
Yeah. It's a lot of good teams there. That's.
See, here's the thing. Jason never actually explained why Na'Vi isn't a dark horse. So since the time's over anyway, if you want to know why they are a dark horse, just listen to his answer where he explained why they're a real good dark horse.
I just explained that was a Bardoff level dark horse prediction. That's a
I rest my case.
And we're done there.
Yeah, so that timer thing's definitely done and over with. But I have to admire Eric's just sheer tenacity to get into at least the playoffs. You know, at the very least, we can get you to the playoffs. But
I want to be earned. I want to earn this.
He's a dark horse. He's getting out of groups. Looking a little pale up there.
With Big, we've got Moses with Vega Squadron, and we've got Duncan with Na'Vi. And you know what? I think today is the day.
He's feeling generous.
Today is the day the Bears gets the second point.
Oh my goodness!
Holy shit!
I'm leading the horses.
You hate to see it.
Deep breath.
No, listen, mate.
It's gonna be okay.
I've done a lot of charity work
you
in my
can still
career
come
myself.
back.
Passing out
say good on
Yeezys to
him,
all the young school children.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Who will disappoint at the PGL Major? And we're going to start with Moses.
Will we start with me? I am actually going to say North, oddly enough. I think this is a team that's really, really struggling. I think this is a team that is...
Okay,
actually,
like that?
I think this is a team that's really, really struggling at the moment. I think
probably won't even make it on a Swiss system, right?
they could get to. They're probably going to lose to Vegas Squadron if I'm honest, get eliminated. But no, I mean their star players Config and Magix. I think Magix is having a pretty rough time recently. He's had some good games, but not in terms of putting together a full tournament. I think you can tell Config is getting a little bit more frustrated. And I have to be honest, the whole AZ experiment I think is just turning this team in the wrong direction. I don't think it's bringing them anywhere. So at the moment, you have to feel the weapons that they had that looked so good months ago, now on paper, and if you look at their impact, it's a little bit frightening how weak they've been in recent memory.
Okay, Duncan?
I'm going to pick Cloud9, C9 from North America. Ooh. I think if you look at their recent run of form, first of all, they haven't done a whole lot except Cologne in best of threes. It's mainly been best of ones. That's been sort of where they've been making their bread, as it were. They didn't beat particularly great teams at Cologne. They did beat teams that actually weren't even ranked in the top 5 to get to the finals. So I think that was an overperformance. And then you've got to consider that a lot of the performance at these last 2 tournaments has been sort of overperformance from Skadoodle and Shroud. And I don't think it's that realistic to expect that to continue, especially Shroud, because the numbers are the same, but he's just had, ludicrously impactful rounds. And that's just not something that he's shown in his career many years long at this point in time.
Okay, well, last but certainly not least, Eric.
I pick VP because they've been god-awful in the last 3-4 months, and I think everyone's waiting for them to bounce back, be like, well, VP, they always go in these little slumps, so it's about time they start winning, right? I think they're probably beyond that point right now. It's just they're just playing. I mean, they're losing to teams that they shouldn't be losing to, and it's terrible blowout losses. And I think the recent win was in a 4-team tournament 2-3 months ago, and it's just they just look terrible. They look really bad, especially this last tournament.
Okay, well, you might not be wrong, but let's just see what else you have to say. All these strats you're saving. 4.5 minutes on the clock. Let's get it going.
Let's just get the VP one out of the way, because it's hard to be any more disappointed in them than we probably already are over the past 4 or 5 months. They have the bar so low that you cannot possibly be disappointed in a bad placement. It's been consistent now, so there's no disappointment. We expect them to be there. They're one of the teams I think that would be a surprise if they actually did good. So we'll just throw that one out right.
We know in back of your mind, everyone back their mind, they're like VP. They're bound to win, right? They're always bound to win. That's VP over the years. But I don't know. I think they're just I think they're going to do even worse. We have a lineup change.
Listen,
It's
Eric,
gonna
the
go
easier
downhill.
it'll be so much easier if you just come to accept the fact that they're just going to be shit at this event.
I don't think it's thing is though. Not only do I not think there's many expectations for VP really, but actually I think if anything they're due a little bit of a bounce up. Not a big one. They're probably not going to go deep. Might not even make the playoffs. But you look at the circumstances, as you said, not that long ago actually, like about 3 or 4 weeks ago, they did win that Adrenaline Cyber Cup where they beat Navi in a best of 3. They beat I think it was Hellraisers in the first round. Then they had even in the loss at Cologne. Like, they actually basically just did terrible pick bans there where they gave all the opposing teams their best maps pretty much. So I think, if anything, that's going to iron out the map pool. It's going to get them away from some of those maps. I think if you look at them, they still won a map off Astralis. They managed to beat them on Nuke. I think they're good enough to nick a map or two. So they won't be absolutely terrible. They might not be the best, but they'll probably be a little bit better than expected. So that's VP out of the way. Jason picked 2, was it again? North. So here's the thing about North. North fairly consistently make playoffs at tournaments. We've seen in general, they can lose to teams, sure, but overall, on the average, they get out of Swiss systems. They tend to actually be able to nick maps off people. So I don't really know anyone who's expecting North to finish top 4 or win the tournament. I don't think anyone's saying that. I think most people would expect North maybe to get legend status. I think that's probably pretty reasonable. I don't think you've made a good case that they won't make legend status, not least of it since you already described that they're going to get out and then play Vega Squadron. So actually, they're going to need to make the legend status for that to work. So if you're adding it all up, kids,
Again,
that's
fake news. Fake news. Just make things up. Now, you asked me for a team they could beat in the quarterfinals, and I said they could beat North if they would get there. I didn't say they would get there. I could see a world where they get a rough draw and just get knocked out in the group stages. Absolutely. I don't think they're that strong of a team at the moment. Who is Duncan's with Cloud9? Dude, Skidoodle has been pretty consistent, and then on top of that, when you add in the Stewie and the automatic factor, and the fact that this team now, I would agree with you if this was the team of like a month ago when all they could do is the fast rush tactics, where it was basically all predicated on Stewie and automatic getting an entry. But the fact is, at Cologne, they proved against world-class oppositions they could slow things down, and that they could make things work, and they could find entries and picks elsewhere, and actually intelligently progress into a bomb site using map control. And I think that's part of the reason why we saw the upswing in Skidoodle and Shroud recently, is because they're getting better and better at that. And I think when you give them that kind of time, they seem to be becoming much better players. So that's going to continue. Then you're going to see Shroud and Skidoodle in the ability to have more and more impact and not get lost in a hectic round. And I think they'll be able to keep it up. They'll be able to keep up this kind of success that they had at ESO and Cologne. North, on the other hand, just doesn't seem to have many things going for them. If Config doesn't have a hot game, if he doesn't get started very well, that's a team that can just bomb out. And he's too big of an impact player, and he's prone to tilting. So, I mean, there's just a whole bunch of factors that can spell the doom for this North team before they actually even get out the playoffs.
Majors are something different. They're a new level of pressure. You really have to get used to playing at them, right? Automatic doesn't play at majors. Stu2K played at 1 majors. That was back when Shroud was one of the better players on his team. That's how long ago it was. So they don't have experience playing in majors. They've never had deep runs in majors with Stu2K in the lineup. There's no evidence in history that they will be able to adapt to that format. We'd have to see it happen to really know if it was the case, So I don't think it would be realistic.
So then how is that a disappointment? Because you're setting the bar so high. Like, I mean, aren't you expecting them to win and they don't win?
Didn't you hear Jason there? Jason just listed all these Jason, the #1 NA expert CSGO, just listed all the reasons why it's obvious to expect they'll do really well. So I'm saying they won't and they'll actually disappoint. Do you know how the game works, Spaz?
I mean, no, I know how the game works.
It's
just
you
contradict yourself a lot, then you say all these fancy words, and then we somehow just, oh, we're out of time, can't talk about it, just see
He does talk quite a bit, doesn't he, Varys? You'd expect him to allow us some times for some rebuttal. Just a bunch of filler, really.
Yeah, I feel like fun facts. I feel like Eric and Jason definitely probably conspired on this one. It's like, we're just gonna verbally thrash you, Duncan. Like, that's just the way it's gonna be.
Listen, America never won a war by having an even amount of soldiers, mate.
But America's won every war. So all that matters, right?
First off, we don't lose. And
talking to veteran right here.
Yeah,
I'm reluctant.
Trace.
I'm reluctant.
Did you hear that, Trace? He just made fun of your boys. Gonna give him a point after that?
His
Cloud9 said the shit. You're right.
Cloud9. Now,
there we go.
For the banter, I'm gonna give the point to Duncan. Only on the contingency that we don't know what this Cloud9 is going to do going forward.
I see. Wanting to make things interesting? Wanted to keep it exciting down the stretch?
Well, yeah, of course. But we definitely don't know what's going to happen with this Cloud9 team. It's just the way it is. So maybe they continue on this high horse, or Maybe they just get their ass stomped on. We shall find out. All right, let's go on to the next question. Which player is underperforming the most in 2017 so far? We're going to start with you, Jason.
Oh, hello. I picked to continue upon my points from the last episode or the last section, which I actually feel like I rather won, if I'm honest with you. I'm going with AZ. That's a player who has come into this team with very high hopes, who not too long ago was considered to be one of the biggest rising stars in Denmark for a number of years as his potential and growth was tracked as a player. That's taken a complete 180. That's kind of nosedive from there, which is really a shame. And not only has his performance been bad individually, but I think it's actually dragging this team down to where there's not a whole lot of hope for great success for the squad for a team that was so promising at the end of last year. I think they struggled to find a role for him because he hasn't been able to be impactful in the couple times they've switched things around for him. So in all the different scenarios they've put him in, he hasn't been able to find the success, and this team is now really, really feeling the pain of trading him, putting him in for Rubino.
I picked Taz from VP. Well, as you'd put it, I'm continuing from my last point. As a leader of a team, of a former #1 team for so many years, top 3, whatever, it's kind of sad in how far they have fallen, no pun intended, that they, win a tournament, they talk shit, or he talks shit online on saying he's #1, and then complete does not back it up at all, and they just lose every match. And what Thorin said from this last tournament, they're letting all the best maps of the other teams let by, and that's just, that's bad leadership. You should be able to, maybe they're testing the waters a little bit. I don't know. I don't like it. They should be focused on winning every match that they can. And if you just want to toss in some stats, not only, he's not leading the team well, he's last in almost every game in frags.
Please, Duncan, let us have it.
So I picked the Belgian headshot machine, Scream, because last year he was undoubtedly one of the best players in the world. I think even going up towards the end of his time in G2, he was a very good player. He was absolutely someone who was an aim monster and really had found his role in the game. But you look at him in 2017 and he's just been non-existent. During his entire time in Envious, he actually hasn't even been close to the best player in Envious. And Envious is a team that didn't even make it out of the minor. They're on a team who has done essentially almost nothing on LAN. They've repeatedly failed. They've got a terrible win rate in terms of maps won on LAN, and his stats haven't been good either. You'd think playing at tier 2 and in a lesser team and against bad players, he should be performing even better. And actually, he's been absolutely woeful. And this is one of the all-time great players we're talking about.
Okay, well, 4.5 minutes on the clock. Sell me the car.
Okay, so Jason says AZ is underperforming. Now, the problem is the concept of underperforming means relative to what you should expect the person's performance to be. Now, the last time, as Jason mentioned, that he was a good player was almost 2 years ago. So if we're talking about people who, 2 years ago were good, well, then Freiburg's underperforming like a mofo, right? Oh, no, wait a second. No, he's been dog shit for the last 2 years. So that's irrelevant. Actually, AZ is playing at exactly the level you saw from FaZe, where he was in that team for about a year, a little bit more than a year. So we've seen more than 12 months of AZ at this level. This is what we expect from him. It's not really underperformance. If anything, he's found a role that vaguely works for him. He had no role before.
Duncan, when this roster change came in, you were so excited for it. You said this North team
I wasn't.
good.
Don't
you
watch
said,
my.
You
nope,
said
don't watch
we had
would work out
counterpoints.
badly for AZ.
No, you did not. You
said it would
was going to be good stuff. Okay. Changing the story now.
Fake
Either way.
news, motherfucker.
Either way.
You, Wall Street Journal reporter? Get the fuck out of my face.
By the way, Scream, I mean, listen, we've known all the issues with Scream for a number of years now. I think it's actually kind of ludicrous, to be honest, to call him one of the greatest
issues
players
all over
of
your
all time
face last year, didn't he, with that sick headshot spray? Remember Immortals? Remember when he put Immortals down like a sick rabid dog on the streets of Rio when they tried to make it to that major, the ESL Major? They tried to go into that site. He pop, pop.
Regardless,
we've always known old Yellow was gone,
Scream
wasn't he?
Was a one-trick pony. That all he had in his arsenal was the aim. He was really bad with positioning. He had a very tough time with that kind of thing, with the game sense, with making the right play in the right moment in the context of a team. That's why he was originally dropped from the very games rosters, or in the Titan rosters early on. That's why he hasn't been included in some of these French teams, is because he hasn't been able to fix those problems over the course of the year. So to call him an underperformance, the only time he's had a great team in a great situation where he's performed on an individual level is when he he was surrounded by guys like Shox and RBK, where they were having a good swing, when they were all playing very, very well together. That made things easier, that opened up the map for his aim to shine. Ever since then, you put him with average teammates who can't provide him those opportunities, that can't create those spaces with him, and this is what you get.
He's
This is just the actual screen.
I know, he just can't perform to that same level.
On to DeBears on Taz. Taz is just, he's always been the player, even when they've done good, where he doesn't have a consistent great section of games. He's just that guy who always seems to have the impactful round when it matters, and we're just not seeing that out of him. He's not underperforming to any certain degree. And by the way, if we're also going to take leadership out of the Fallen equation when he's the MVP, you got to take leadership out of the Taz equation when it's a bad thing. So there goes the leadership.
Exactly. So take away that Fallen point from Jason earlier on. I agree.
No. Listen, I don't give a fuck when I get the points, but it's my point. It doesn't matter.
He doesn't even care about the points. That means all the points to me. Stunner, we split the points. He just said it. He gave it up himself from his own mouth. Listen, I didn't make him say it. He said it of his own volition.
This is all Duncan. This is your anchor of this series, and you're letting him talk to you like this, Tasana. Get out there.
I'm trying to appeal to his better side. I'm the little angel on his shoulder, and you're the little devil on his other side. Like, no, let's all get together, man. And I'm like, no, let's repair our problems between our nations.
Your problem
and make a new future.
Kareem was one of the all-time best players. That's
absolutely.
That's not right at all. I mean, as Jason made a lot of
I know that.
A lot of awesome points about how he's bad at adjusting and whatnot, and that's why he's not included in a lot of these teams. He's all aim, and no, he got a peanut head. But as for AZ, I don't know too much about Team North because in the last 3-4 months they haven't made it out in any tournament, and I don't have
made it to the final of EPL.
I don't have 8 hours a day to watch Counter-Strike.
So you definitely know what the EPL is. It's like the only way that everyone remembers you now because no one watches CLG Red. So we all know what EPL is, mate. You know what EPL is, and they were in the final of that shit.
That's fantastic. That's good for them, but that was one tournament. I don't have time to watch them lose and not get in playoffs. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that, Thorin.
Doesn't have.
I mean, if you don't have time to watch people lose and who don't make the playoffs, Virtus Pro haven't made the playoffs of almost every single tournament for the last 4 or 5 months. Exactly. So you haven't been watching Virtus Pro or Taz, so you can't actually accurately tell us if he's been underperforming. You said it from your own mouth.
Listen,
I will ask the court to run back the record and hear what he said. He said it, and also Jason said he doesn't care about the points. Do I need to make a stronger case? I care about the points. I watch the game starter, and I really know who's underperforming. And it's Scream and it's the Bears.
Oh, no. Scream and the Bears. Oh, my God. This is not easy. Eric, I don't know how you forget about the EPL finals. I just, I've really got, something... it's almost like take a point away worthy.
I'm just doing whatever. Okay, take away. Do whatever you want. It's your show. Take away.
He's challenging you. He's trying to use reverse psychology.
Whoa.
Do it.
Reverse psychology.
Here's the angel on your shoulder talking. There it is.
Yeah. Do it. Appealing to his better side.
Fucking Darth Thorin up there.
Darth Thorin. Fuck. All right. So we've got the Bears as Taz is the most underperforming player of 2017. Thorin with Scream and Moses with AZ. I hate to say it. I really do. Actually, no, I don't. I don't really mind it at all. Let's give it. I'm gonna give it to you, Jason.
Ooh, it feels so good.
Literally has picked a player that's been playing at the same level for about
get the fuck out of my industry, Duncan.
16, 17 months.
Out of my industry.
Yeah. Then Bears over there picks a player underperforming player of the decade.
Listen.
You're like, well, Jason, you make some good points, including none, so you win.
Under this shield, that's terrible, okay? Go look at your stats. Go look at the stats. You could, look at that.
Now, Duncan, I'm going to have to ask you to assist me and pick up the role that the Bears is also so good at, the jury. I'm going to need your help.
Don't worry, mate. I'll be a very, justice is all I care about. Justice is blind, and it's all I care about. Okay,
Duncan, we've had some good times, haven't we, mate? We've had some good times.
Yeah, we have. So let's heat it up.
Now Jason's gonna have a good time, and you're gonna watch from the sidelines, Duncan. That's just the way
I feel like you might win this one, Bears. Just a feeling I got. Just a feeling. Just a feeling. I don't know. Just a guess. All
right, hold on. Let me explain this. So what happens is, I present the question in rapid fire. You guys have, you have to give your immediate answer. You'll say your side. We'll start the timer where you can go at each other just like regulation. All right.
Is it just one question?
Nope.
Okay.
But these go really fast. You got about 30 seconds on the clock.
All right.
So,
good shit.
Check it out. First one to answer with the answer, they get that. So if you guys say the same thing, you have to give another one. The first question that we're going to ask is, who is the next player to retire?
Oh. I'm gonna go with Neo.
Oh my goodness. Damn, it's a tough one. Who's gonna be retired?
Or that he could
I'll say nothing.
Oh shit! All right. Well, let's hear the argument, boys.
Listen, Neo. I think Neo's role in Virtus Pro is just kind of coming to an end, because when you look at some of the comments they've made, where they're looking at trying to survive this and trying to not being able to necessarily outlast any roster changes, I think Neo's the player that's been lost the most. Yes, he provides a lot of variety in them switching in-game leaders, and he has the ability to AWP, but he can't do any of it up to a high level. So I think immediately when you go to him, considering Pasha's upswing recently and Taz's leadership, he's probably the first one that you go to. He's also not invested in esports. Nothing has an entire personal brand that he can build up. So I think Nothing's going to stick around. I don't think he's going to quit playing quite yet.
Eric?
All right, so I picked Nothing because, as you said, he does have his own a lot of stuff with C9, and as you know, C9 the players picking up people to stream left and right. I think eventually he's going to step down as a player and focus more on content and the streaming. As for as for Neo, I think that he's getting paid $20,000 a month. Like, why would he stop? He won't stop until he's forced to stop. Like, he's making
sources,
so much money
please.
off of that.
Sources,
please. Well, I don't have it on the hand right now, but that's the rumors, man. Everyone knows the VP salary these days. It's way up there, and he's not going to stop playing. Nothing on the other hand, well, you can take the stress off of playing games and make a brand, as you said for yourself.
Lag.
Playing games, make a brand for yourself.
Duncan, let's get your way in on this.
Okay, here's the thing. I actually feel like DeBear's made a couple of really good points there. Like, first of all, he said that Nothing could just become a streamer because he has a big brand and he could kind of be a brand ambassador. It could be. I think that's a pretty solid answer actually in the industry. Obviously Cloud9's a team where they were pretty close to perhaps being forced to make roster moves by the org. Then you got to look on the other side of the equation. I do think that's a very compelling reason as to why Neo wouldn't leave the team. The fact that not only is he like a legend in the scene, but more importantly, he does make like $25,000 a month. So unless he's like forced to retire, which I don't think was really the question, I don't think this guy is going to be retiring at ATAC until they pry it from his cold, dead Polish hands.
All right. Well, to keep it civil here, I'm going to have to go side along with the Neo selection. I feel like he might be the next one. That's not even favorites, just because I might have some insider information.
I like that.
Anyway,
well,
no
don't need sources on that one.
No, I'm not saying he's retiring. Let's just be very clear about that. I'm not saying that Neo's retiring. None of that. But regardless, we're going to give that point over to what was it? Jason.
Bez. Yeah, Bez.
All right, go on to the next question here. Who is the best player in SK Gaming?
This should be good.
Fur.
I'm gonna go with Fallen.
Oh, going for a bit of a risk here. Eric, I'll let you start. You went out on a limb there. I like that.
Okay, SK Gaming is Fallen's team. All right, he made the system. I say it time and again, over and so many of this on this show, that Fallen is the reason why SK is so well. Yes, you have awesome people like Kozera, Fur, Taco, and helps all playing their roles that were designed mainly by, well, I say Fallen is the leadership. I'm not going to say it's all on his shoulders, but he makes that team work. It's a team game, and he's the oil to the engine, and I think he's the big reason why SK is so well, even why a Brazilian CS team is even alive these days, is because of him and what he did in Brazil. There you go. I'm taking it way deep there, Jason.
I'm just watching Duncan's face that whole time. All right. We'll just start with the fact that it's pretty telling if you bring up Fallen that you don't even say a single thing about how talented he is as an individual player. You just focus purely on the leadership and the fact that he's propped up the Brazilian scene. This is why is he the best player in SK, not why is he the best player in the entirety of the Brazilian scene. Fur, on the other hand, Fur has taken a style of play that we thought just couldn't work anymore because it used to be JW who did these kind of highly aggressive plays in the middle of the round that just wreaks havoc early on in setups of their opponents, also gathers information for your team, delays what they want to do. The fact that Fur's able to make it work, and also, by the way, he just spent like a year of his career behind coldzera not being the priority, not being a player who gets the plays he wants, being able to flip the switch whenever he wanted.
Yep. And Duncan?
See, here's the thing. I thought Jason made a really good point there, that actually Fallen is incredibly talented, along with all the things that DeBears said. So in a way, if you're going to make points for the other guy as well, then you just bolster his case. So I actually feel like, you know, the MVP of this last tournament, Fallen, probably is the best player in SK Gaming. See how it works, Jason? It all comes back in the end. It all comes back. And I wasn't listening to a lot of the rest of what Jason said, so I didn't.
All the good points.
Okay. Well, I was listening to that other half that Jason was saying, and but I don't know. I mean, it's something how Eric has just come to the table today. He's just come with that. It's just weird.
He's really.
You gotta respect it.
I'm in Vegas.
You gotta respect it, and you gotta acknowledge it as well.
You got to acknowledge it. You got to recognize it. You got to embrace it, because this could very much happen today.
Hallelujah.
We're gonna give the point to DeBears. We got a tie ball game, 3-3.
Testify.
Let's go on. We have just a couple more. Let's go with what player needs a better team around him?
Stewie 2K.
Ooh, this is a good one. I'm going to say Mixwell. Do you hear that?
So, Jason, would you like to kick it off?
Yeah, I'll take it. I think Stewie 2K is one of the most unique play styles we have with how aggressive he can be and how successful. And I think talking to so many different pro players at ESL Cologne, they all mentioned how he is one of the hardest players for them to play against at the moment, because he's very, very good at being aggressive in situations where it doesn't always make sense. And even though they know it's coming, it still catches them off guard. He's also very intelligent in clutch situations. And he's also extremely capable of picking up the AWP and being that secondary opper, and sometimes even having more impact than Skadoodle as the primary opper. So I think if you look at the team around him at the moment, you have Skadoodle and Shroud, who have just been underperforming for this is not a winning team, and Stewie deserves to be on a championship winning team. He has the skill set to make a team to bring it up to that new level, and he can't do it on this one.
Okay, let's reverse that timer back, and it's all you, Eric.
Well, Mixwell, he hasn't even had a stable roster for a long time now, and they keep changing leaderships. He doesn't want to AWP, but he's forced to AWP because he's that good with the AWP. I think he could be placed on any other team and just become a huge impact right away. And unlike C9, you say that they're bad, but they're doing pretty well, and they've always done kind of pretty consistent, at least top 2 in America, and maybe not too well in international, but they've always been a pretty solid team. And I just think Optic's just a mess, and they've been a mess for over 6 months. So I would like to see him on a new team.
Yeah, it's been a nice week for Cloud9, certainly.
All right, Duncan, weigh in.
So for this one, I'm actually feeling Stewie 2K. I think that's the better one, because if you look, like he even did it when he had Slemmy in his team. He's dealt with different players, through different eras of Counter-Strike even. I think he's consistently been pretty good, and he's almost never been the element of Cloud9 you'd blame, really. So I feel like he'd be the most obvious person that you could just switch teammates out and he'd be just as good. Whereas the problem I see with Mixwell is that actually, I think part of it is, I already feel like Mixwell maybe had already this peak of his career with that E-League Season 2 win. So I don't think they're ever going to be as good as that in any Optic team. And then beyond that, Mixwell I don't really think has, the killer instinct, He seems like too laid-back a guy, and I feel like that might actually contribute to some of his career problems with the players they have, So I feel like maybe he's not as assertive. So maybe if you put better players around him, he'd just sink back even more and be like the third best player. So I think Stewie 2K would pretty clearly be the star of almost any team he was on. So I'm feeling Jason on this one.
Ooh, that's a boy.
It's reverse psychology. It's reverse psychology.
After parties, isn't it? Shout out to all the after.
Okay.
He doesn't know what to do now, does he? I'm inside his head. I'm like the Russians in the motherfucking election right now, and he doesn't know which way I'm going.
Got a little booze
Jesus, you guys need serious help. That's what you guys need. I'm just lagging a little bit hard.
Yeah, I'm hacking that as well.
But oh my God! All right, whatever, dude. Let's go ahead. I'm going to throw this one over to Jason, and partly because I don't know what Thorin just said exactly in my direction. That's completely okay. I'm going to give Thorin a point for participation and being a good sport at this point, just because you're looking a little lowly down there. So let's move on. We've got two more questions here in rapid fire.
Holy shit!
Let's talk about the best European offer.
Kenny S. Oh, get fucked.
I think the Bears lagged. He actually said it first there.
Bud.
Oh my goodness.
There is another answer.
Let's do Oscar for Mouse Sports.
Okay.
Ooh,
Jason, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I can do that. Kenny is one of the most dynamic operators in the sense of how he can play with that weapon aggressively. He's also hugely important within that team. The op provides so very much. And on top of that, if you look at the consistency that he has had this year, he's just been so very good. And it's no stretch of the imagination that he's back. I know Duncan called it a few months ago that he was back to being the best operator in the world. And he specifically mentioned it was not hyperbole. I agree with Duncan on that point. And then if you look at maps as well, like Inferno, like Nuke, maps that we generally consider to be tough maps for operators, he's even got insane records on that against some of the best teams in the world. He just consistently performs with that no matter what condition he's in.
And it's looking like 0, so please, Eric, pardon Jason. Go ahead.
It's okay. I'll let it slide. I picked Oscar for Mouse Sports. When Nico left Mouse Sports, everyone thought Mouse Sports would die, especially Thorin. I could remember his YouTube comments on Mouse Sports and how they're the shittiest tier 1 team in the world. But you know what? They still somehow made it to the major with ropes. A young person, but it's Oscar. He's been opping a lot. He's been hitting the shots. He's score. He's been on fire. Like, if you look at all the matches in the last couple months, he's just in positive, a high rating. And I'm just going stats on here. All right, I'm going stats, and he's been overperforming and probably turning a lot of heads. He's been overperforming. That's it. That's all I got.
All right, let's hear it, Duncan. Let's hear your side.
First of all, unfortunately, I don't think Eric made the best case for Oscar there. Yeah, he really needed to come with something like original, creative, And the worst mistake he made was going with stats, because obviously in stats, Kenny S kills him. So I think most people would say the consensus is Kenny S anyway. He might even just be the best opera in the entire game. So I think that was like a misplay by the Bears there.
Stats are relevant though.
Even bringing up Rops, Eric. What you doing? You didn't even pick Rops.
Because it's a team game. You guys are all focused always on individuals. I'm focused on the team, okay? I'm focused on how they win. And they're winning somehow without Nico, with some 16-year-old kid.
Are you winning, Eric?
And
he hasn't got a 16-year-old kid. Or has he, viewers? And this next episode of Potter Shut Up, see what's in Eric's basement.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my goodness.
Stromberg,
it's
what is that, Austrian?
It's getting really hot.
It's getting warm in there, Eric. Is that what you're saying?
It's getting a little warm in here.
It's it's a little much, isn't it? All right, let's go on and give just because I'm feeling just froggy right now. Let's just go ahead and throw it right over to the Bears. Let's take this a 4-4. Why not? Fuck it. Why not?
Okay,
let's
really
go
hard,
4-4.
Yeah, good justification for that.
We got a tie ball game, and we've got the last.
Well, he is in Amsterdam. It all makes sense now.
Listen, that's besides the point. Look, let's move along. We've got the last question. This is going to decide our winner. What map needs to be taken out of the competitive map pool?
Cobble.
Ooh, who said that first?
That
was me. That was me all the way. I said it instantly.
I can't actually tell who said it first.
Hey, is there an instant replay? Can we have an instant replay right here? I'd like to know who said it first. I need a line judge.
I'll take it. I'll take that one.
Jason, give me a.
What?
Give me a different one.
You want me to give it to Vita Phone? Let's go with. Let's go with Nuke.
Okay. Well, kick us off.
Oh, Duke.
Oh, what was that little breath there? All right,
Okay,
Taze on
so-
day. You move away from the mic to breathe, do you? Okay.
I picked Kabul because I think Kabul is one of the worst maps out there just because of B bomb site. It's always been bad ever since 1.6. They've done so many revamps, but the problem with CSGO is the sound that you can make by the B drop area. It doesn't allow T's to work that well. It's over predictable. There's like no new strategies in the map, and I just don't like the map. And the long A and A is just too long, and it just feels bad. It looks bad. I don't even enjoy watching Kabul matches. There you go.
Okay, let's hear it,
My
Moses.
opinion.
Well, I mean, the idea that you can't have anything new come out on Kabul is kind of crazy, considering we just saw over the past week that there are a couple teams who have invented some new things. We've seen triple nades over that wall from the boost tree that took out an AWPer. We saw a Molotov thrown on top of those boost boxes that forced players out for a peek on B platform that eliminated 2 players. So there's a lot of variation coming out on the CT side at the moment as teams struggle to figure out ways to have solid defenses. Nuke, on the other hand, I think is just too much of an economy game at the moment. If you don't have the proper utility, if you don't have the proper weaponry, you can't really do a whole lot as the CT side, and it just feels like that map has turned into pretty snowbally of whoever gets the control of the economy earliest is going to have a very, very good map.
All right, Duncan.
Listen, Stunner, you know the way I am.
Yeah, please.
You know, I'm true blue. I call it how I see it. And one thing that I'm a stickler for my principles. And I always think, whatever you really believe, whatever is in your heart is what you should say. And I know that Jason, I have the evidence, wanted to say Cobble, but he couldn't because he was too slow. So he now made up lies. He lied. He said that Nuke was the map that should be removed. He went against what he really thought. And I can't co-sign that. I can't corroborate that. I can't get behind that. I have to just call it as I see it and say De Beers at least told the truth. And I hope that on a show like this, in a time like this, a divided country like America, at least truth can ring out, and Liberty's call and Paul Revere and other stuff I don't know about, and De Beers wins. Liberty Bell, I don't know.
Liberty Bell.
Duncan, you are so full of shit that it's impressive.
He speaks
It's
truth.
actually impressive.
There's lots of truth in there.
Oh my God. I do have to pick one of you guys though. And oddly enough, God, this is so tough. This is why I like those fan votes, right? Because that way I could still just make up whatever answer I wanted, and then that way I didn't feel as bad about it at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But fuck. Let's go with the truth-telling Eric De Beer Stromberg.
Wow,
That's it.
it's been a wild day in Amsterdam for you, eh?
No. I walked around a lot. There's a lot of sun outside today.
Getting sabotaged by Duncan.
Don't know what you mean. I'm just, like I said, I
Man
call it how I
of
see it.
principle.
The truth.
A man of principle.
The truth won out. That's all I can say. You can't handle the truth, Jason.
Okay, Eric, since you did get the W, I'm going to let you have an open floor here. What do you have to say? Bestow something upon us.
It's a pleasure to win for the second time, and I enjoy. I miss you, Jason. I wish we could hang out more, but you're always traveling. And Duncan, I wish you lived closer so we could go to the pub, have a couple drinks, take a sip of the ice lolly. I don't know what the hell you guys call it over there, but you know what? It's this we're so far away but so close in the internet. I wish we could just, hug
But we
each
do
other.
both win episodes of this show, so we're kind of brothers in a way. We're closer than you think, guys. Winners got to stick together.
Obviously
Winners gotta
a
stick
rat.
Second place finisher, please. Floor is yours.
You know what? I feel a little bit cheated, and out of protest of that, out of protest of the collusion that we saw in full force on this episode, I'm going to decline to give any kind of tribute.
You voted
All
Trump.
right. And you know what? Duncan's been spewing a lot of hot air all episode, so we're just
Okay. I fuck around. I get pounds. No, you no longer have to listen to my sounds. The end. The end.
All right, outstanding. That does it for episode 10 of Put Up or Shut Up. I want to thank you guys for coming out. Make sure you guys follow along the YouTube channel, hit subscribe. Be on the lookout for more of these antics coming from at least the two of these clowns regularly. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.